Hello, this is A.T. Vung again. This is my final reflection on the student data evaluation. So this is my fifth one, which pretty much gives me extensive data looking at students' performance. And it's no surprise, and I think from my own personal experience as a student, same thing. If I didn't do well on the first few tests, unless I've done exceptionally well. Like if I keep the same pace of studying, the same approach, most likely there won't be any big changes. So unless I make big changes or overnight I become super intelligent, there'll be a huge gain with maybe a 10-15% gain. But overall, cross plus and minuses would be at most 3% gain. So the same thing with numbers, and I think the more numbers we have, the more accurate and representative they become. So for my particular students, uh, I'm pretty disappointed because my mid term test there were 5 students that failed, and the percentage of failure here in Vietnam is pretty high, 77%, which in the United States that's a high C. But here, in order to pass, especially for lower grades, we're looking at from first all the way to fifth grade, at least in the English center, English sector, private sector. In regular school, public school, I don't know. I'm not responsible for grades in public school. But in private centers, ours particularly, passing grade is 77%. For higher grade, like middle school and up, 65%, which is a D, mid D in the United States. So according to this scale, 5 students fail. We have done everything we could, from allocating an extra tutor, calling parents, had tons of meetings. I work collaboratively with the co-teacher and the TA. So it's not like we haven't done our part. I mean, I think everyone has to pull their weight. Um, and I think for the most part, the adults have done their job. Um, Again, I'm still disappointed because at the end, the final test, the pretty much the same 5 students that failed the midterm, they failed the final test. Um, and secondly, we can look at many factors to analyze it, to um, analyze our way out of it. It's just too many factors that are beyond my control. There are too many moving parts. One in particular is that these struggling students, did not do their homework consistently. And secondly, they didn't have any help at home. So if they're stuck in English, they don't know what to do. And perhaps they're too young to use smartphones or tablets. Maybe they know how to use YouTube and computer. But again, these are second to third, fourth graders, and some of the parents may not want them to use a smartphone yet. Um, and recently we have a change in management. At one time, the head person manager left, and we were left to men on our own for like a few weeks, and then there was a change. A new manager came in, so there was a change in management that kind of throw things off a little bit. And then thirdly, how would I do it differently next time? I think next time, if I'm in a situation like this, I would check so let's say by the midterm, when after I put them on a struggling student list, I will go back and check their level tests. So before they enter my class, check their level tests. And I think the problem is when we didn't have a manager, it's the front office that took care of the level tests. And these are not academics, so they're not professional. So maybe out of business pressure, they just throw these students in there just to meet the quotas. So that can be a challenge. But if we had a manager, the manager will take care of the level testing to gauge and determine accurately where this student will be placed. So sometimes if you need to meet the numbers, or we want to increase the numbers in the classroom, this could happen. And then also I would check their pass score. So if a student first failed my midterm test, I would go back, and that's what I did in this class. I did all I could. I'll go back and look at their past scores and see what they did. And if they score low, if they fail the other class and yet they will move up, I would like to know why. I will go to the front office, I'll talk to the manager, I'll talk to my co-teacher and find out, and the TA, and find out why this kid was moved up. Normally at the borderline, if you're on the borderline passing at 77, the front office would move you up. They just don't want to have long discussion with the parents about it. And finally, I'm just not sure if we can use quantitative measure to capture the whole big picture. And one in particular is that when we have a PBL, you definitely see other aspect, other skills of students that come up forth, like their artistic skill. And so in this particular class, same thing. It's always every class I see that. It's always the older students who doesn't have a lot of time and may not have the foundation in English. Maybe they started learning English at much later grade, like third or fourth grade. So they've only learned English at a private center compared to their peers who've been learning since kindergarten, but they have such strong artistic skill. So one student in particular, she scored very high on her project, but yet still didn't do well on her final test. So in conclusion, I wanted to just summarize. So first, I was disappointed with the results of this final test, despite all that we did. There were too many factors that were beyond our control, too many moving parts, and there was a change in management. And then how would I do it differently? I would check the level tests. I would check past scores. And then finally, but the question I want to pose is quantitative measurement enough to capture the whole picture of a student's progress? It really depends on how creative we're willing to get and how the school or the district supports other ways of measuring student success. And that's really up to the center, the school, or the district to determine that. All right, so that's my final reflection on data evaluation. Thank you very much.